Hello, you've caught me remembering a wise piece of advice my mum always used to give me. As long as you don't get caught, then cheating is fine.
What did you just say?
Actually, it might have been someone from school who taught me that. Either way, I think it's an excellent code to live by. Who wants to put in all the effort if you can swindle the system and reap the same rewards by doing absolutely nothing? Especially in video games. I just love it when you find cheeky little exploits that let you do hard things really easily.
Like that time I found a sweet spot where no enemies could touch me in one of Destiny's Nightfalls. I mean, it took us 2 hours to grind the boss down from there, but it was so worth it.
But if there's one thing I love even more than finding exploits in video games, it's when developers find exploits in video games and code in hilarious punishments to teach naughty gamers like me a valuable lesson in manners.
Almost as if they know what we're going to do. Here are 7 times video games brutally punished us for playing dirty.
Our first entry happens in The Witcher 3, a game which, like many RPGs, it's really quite difficult to amass a decent amount of money. This is undoubtedly a deliberate design choice on the part of CD Projekt Red and encourages you to take on Witcher contracts and go exploring for long-lost treasure.
Or it encourages you to repeatedly murder all the cows in White Orchard and then sell their hides for a tidy profit.
This was the fastest way to build up a healthy bank balance early in the game. Kill the cows, sell their hides, meditate so the cows would respawn, repeat. Loads of money for little effort. Unfortunately for those partaking in it, CD Projekt Red caught wind of this wholesale trade of rawhide and so conjured a little surprise for players who spent too much time killing cattle.
Enter the Chort of White Orchard.
A vengeful level 27 monstrosity is unleashed, and it's quite angry you've been unceremoniously butchering its bovine brethren, all for a few crowns. And if you manage to kill it, another one respawns in its place. Want to farm cowhides for crowns, do you? Farm these!
It probably serves us right.
Next up, we've got a brilliant punishment doled out to very naughty players who broke the street date of Dark Souls and started playing the game early. I mean, if it isn't punishment enough to have to go through the entire game without glowing hints on the ground because nobody's actually played the game yet, imagine then having to face a level 145 Black Phantom, lovingly inserted into the game by developer From Software to annihilate players enjoying the game a bit too early.
Being invaded in Dark Souls is terrifying anyway. Now imagine being invaded by something with maxed out stats and that is virtually indestructible.
1900 HP, 99 stats in every category. This isn't one, by the way, this is just me running away from a low-level undead thing, but man, if you ever faced one of those Black Phantoms, then do let us know in the comments. Admit to breaking the street date, we won't judge, you've already been punished enough. Next up, it's Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Now, answers in the comments please. How long did it take you to realise you could look up at the seagulls in first person at the start of Raiden's Big Shell mission and watch them poop on their camera?
About 60 seconds for me, and then I spent the next 60 minutes giggling about it.
The detail in this bird poo was typically Kojima. It slid down the lens with authentic gloopiness, made a dull, wet noise upon impact, and even made the DualShock vibrate slightly, in a way I've never felt the DualShock vibrate before or since.
I like to imagine Hideo Kojima deep into development of MGS2, sitting his team down and telling them, now, we need to make sure we get the DualShock rumble for the seagull poop just right.
I mean, that definitely happened. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked by seagull poop, just like when actually playing the game. Another thing I like to do with the seagulls is to shoot them, obviously, and watch them explode in a small puff of feathers. Now, as someone who's had an entire Cornish pasty ripped out of his hands by seagulls while on holiday, I think this is perfectly okay. Rose, the person in charge of saving your game in Metal Gear Solid 2, disagrees.
I don't believe this. I had no idea you were that kind of a monster.
Continually annoy Rose and she'll point blank refuse to save your game for you until you apologise.
Which, could be quite the inconvenience when you're trying to save the world, but also really need to go to bed now because it's 3 a.m. and you have school tomorrow. So, Rose, can I please just save the game?
This is a joke, right? Rose.
What now?
What do you mean, what now? Save my data, please.
Another thing we've all done in games when we were kids is call our character a silly name.
When we were kids, not now, obviously.
When I first played Final Fantasy VIII, Squall's name was Bumface, because what 12-year-old doesn't find it hilarious to see every character saying Bumface for 80 hours? You just had to make sure your mum wasn't in the room during a battle or a piece of dialogue, so Bumface wouldn't be displayed on screen in front of her.
Why are you just standing there?
I'm just not ready to go in the cave yet. There could be a fight or someone could talk to me.
Alright, I admit it, I still do this today. When Fallout 4 asked me to name my character, I thought long and hard about what juvenile name I could give them. Little did I know Bethesda had second-guessed my puerility and programmed Codsworth to actually say loads of rude names out loud. So when my mum walked in on this one...
What did he just call you?
Nothing? Maybe it's a glitch or something?
It sounded pretty clear to me. It sounded like he said Erectus.
He did, Mum. He said Mr. Erectus. You got me, Fallout 4. Canis Canem Edit is next, aka Bully, the game from Rockstar that's basically GTA at school. As juvenile delinquent Jimmy Hopkins, you'll spend most of your time breaking rules, giving kids wedgies, beating up the bullies, and generally just doing all the things you weren't brave enough to do at actual school. This kind of roguish behaviour is all par for the course and is actively encouraged. However, if you push it too far and properly misbehave...
For instance, if you try and wedgie a teacher...
then you'll end up in actual detention. The GTA equivalent is being arrested by the police. Often this involves having your weapons confiscated, some money taken, the game fades to black, and you continue on. Not so in Canis Canem Edit. Here, you have to actually serve your detention before you can start playing the game properly again.
This involves desperately boring and repetitive tasks like mowing grass, tasks you have to complete.
Until the game decides you've learned your lesson and can go back to firing your sling at jocks, which, as everyone knows, is perfectly acceptable behaviour. Entry number 6. What's the first thing you do when an NPC character turns up in your game? Correct. You see if they react to being shot. Normally, they just stand there, impervious to your bullets, protected by their mission-critical status and a coat of coded armour, jovially ignoring the fact you've just unloaded an entire clip into their face.
Sometimes they do actually get shot and the game will scold you with a friendly fire warning.
And sometimes developers get so sick to death of you mucking about when you should be concentrating on playing properly the thing it's taken them years to craft, they specially create a little cutscene ending in your demise. So I take my hat off to you, Capcom, for that bit in Resi 4 when you just knew we were all going to have a go at Louis Serra instead of the horde of infected villagers swamping our position, and so had him shoot us right back.
Adios, Leon.
Not just a friendly fire won't be tolerated rap on the knuckles, but a fully animated, fully voice-acted wooden spoon across the backside cutscene.
I wasn't messing around here so much as I was furious another man had come and dared to be more handsome than Leon Kennedy, but either way, have that, person who decided to muck about rather than play the game properly. Our final entry happens in Skyrim, and I really hope this is a deliberate piece of design on behalf of Bethesda Studios because it's brilliant. As you're probably aware, you can have companions follow you about in Skyrim. They're really helpful because you get extra help in battle, But more importantly, you can give them extra stuff to carry that won't fit in your inventory.
Basically, companions in Skyrim are glorified dragon bone carrier bags.
Take my favourite companion, Dark Elf Warrior Janassa. I handed her 3 dragon bones, 3 dragon scales, 5 flawless amethysts, 5 flawless garnets, 8 regular garnets, a goat hide, 55 gold, 2 gold ingots, 34 gold ores, a grand soul gem, 35 leather strips, a copper and ruby circlet,
which she then wore,
a ring of minor striking, a silver garnet ring, 2 silver ruby rings, and the silver blood family ring worth 772 gold on its own. I then asked her to marry me.
Then it's settled. You and me.
Yes, you can marry people in Skyrim. How could this possibly go wrong?
I'll tell you. You arrive at the ceremony and the priest gets to the bit where he asks if you agree to be bound together in love now and forever. Janassa says,
I do. Now and forever.
And then I got asked the same question, and because I just cannot resist being an utter D-bag in these situations, I thought it would be hilarious to break the ceremony off and then tell Janassa I never loved her in the first place.
Turns out she wasn't happy about that.
And walks off with all the items you gave her, only now there's no dialogue option to trade with her again because, you know, you've broken her heart and stuff. Janassa, I was just messing around. Please, can we talk about this? Janassa, can we at least talk about my 34 gold ores and my 5 flawless garnets and my goat hide and my copper and ruby circlet you're still wearing?
Get out of my sight.
Okay. And there we go. 7 times video games brutally punished us for playing dirty. Have you fallen victim to any of these? Got any more we've missed? Tell us in the comments. Give this video a like if you're feeling kind. And join us again next week for another Friday feature. Thanks for watching.